Hi everybody, Rad Mom here. Welcome back to the office. We went the extra mile to get us a quiet corner today because we're continuing with our series of reading through the blog posts. But real quick, like the video if you enjoy my content and subscribe to the channel to let the algorithm know that. Thank you so much. And let's get into some meatier stuff, shall we? This one is called Not Like Other Feminists. The internet can be a dangerous place, but the rabbit hole I fell down this week goes much deeper than I anticipated. It all started with Abby Cox. She's one of my favorite YouTubers, and she put the brakes on her whole video concept this week to address a glaring issue that she found in her research. Abby is a historical costumer with several years in a living history museum under her belt. In comparing recent remakes of classical historical fiction to older productions, she noticed an uncomfortable trend. I am frustrated, she tells us, by the reliance on girly bad, boy good clothing defaults that our feminist characters are shoved into. Abby focuses on Little Women and Anne of Green Gables, showing clips illustrating the recent masculinization of Jo and Anne. In the 2019 version, we have Jo looking like she slept in a barn, and she is wearing distinctly masculine clothing on top with just a skirt on the bottom. At first glance, this looks like historical costumers in film have lost the thread. 2019 Jo would not look out of place on a modern college campus, which a real Victorian lady certainly would. But Abby's impassioned pleas rang in my ears for days after I watched her video, bringing me back to a fight I've had with myself as long as I can remember. I think we do ourselves a disservice, and everyone else who grows up female, if we write off the other girl without taking a long, hard look at her and why she has been with us for so long. There's something thrilling about boldly doing things women were forbidden from for centuries, for too many during Jo's time. Being not like the other girls got you committed. In later decades, there was a good chance you'd be lobotomized, too. The infamous case of Rosemary Kennedy is a late entry in a long tradition of ruthlessly crushing women who were just a little too smart. It all adds up when you learn that it starts to add up when you learn that schizophrenia was once a catch-all for difficult patients. This history may not play a direct role, but I think most young women go through this to some degree. The urge to hide your girly hobbies or inclinations in order to be taken seriously, and later just to avoid being seen as an object. I don't think that we have come out on the other side of this yet, collectively. That we are still using masculine as shorthand for intelligent after 200 years shows just how suppressed women truly still are. It's also kind of embarrassing. All things feminine are routinely rejected and put down in our culture. Powerful female politicians cut their hair short and wear boxy pantsuits like they're admitting they don't belong and are trying to blend in. Visual media has been flirting with pornography for ages, only recently making some self-conscious adjustments. So, instead of the damsel in distress, we see her reciting the hero's lines, as if there are only two options. Music and fashion are even worse. The role of sex icon is assumed for women there. To challenge this is to play Russian roulette with your career. The overall message is very clear. Girly equals bad, boyish equals good. The term girly often just means frivolous. Girly girls are seen as shallow and vain and sometimes even evil. If this tainted messaging were limited to high heels and tight skirts, there'd be nothing to talk about. But the girly label extends to lots of things. Many of them skills with roots in women's history. Certain personality traits, even entire categories of emotions, have all been tagged feminine and shunted to the margins of our culture. Basically, anything patriarchy can't use to generate wealth for itself is classified as a potential threat and squashed. Even the lovely Miss Abby Cox, who devotes the first 3 minutes of this video to woke disclaimers, can feel the cringe. Quote, "As much as I love and appreciate the resurgence of historical costume dramas, I just want to beg the writers and designers to stop playing into this not like other girls trope for the progressive female protagonist. It's lazy and harmful storytelling, with its implication that other girls are inherently not feminist." End quote. Here, Abby names the first problem with not being like other girls. It's putting down others to lift yourself up. Little Women is about 40 years older than Anne of Green Gables. Louisa May Alcott publishing its first edition in 1868. In Alcott's depiction of her era, Jo's pursuit of an education and career made her not like other girls. We tend to see this as a positive because education is the great leveler. Education enables you to see yourself as an authority in the world and to question that of others. Male-oriented establishments of all stripes resist the education of girls to this day, sometimes with lethal force. Abby tells us how the historical costume dramas she is upset about actually create many of our ideas about the past. Redressing the feminine heroines of the period as butches, trans men, projects our rejection of girly things backward onto them, creating the illusion of tradition, a fake history. And clothes are a really great example of how the subversion of women plays out. Fiber arts, expert, is a role women share across many times and places. We have often used this necessary practical skill to our advantage. Our clothes are a means of self-expression, communication, and advertisement, even a lucrative career. The advent of machine manufacturing in the 19th century enabled the male-oriented establishment to take this from us. More than that, we were enticed to give it up willingly with the promise of free time and effortless chic. The shift of mentality to the modern lifestyle clinched the deal. Sewing is frivolous now too. Why spend time making something when you can just go to the store? Time is money, you know. Don't you want to go get you some? And another corner of women's culture dies. The second problem with not like other girls is that yes, inevitably you are like other girls in some ways. Instead of just rejecting what we recognize as bullshit, we project these negative stereotypes onto other women. It's another indirect admission. Sure, women are shit, but I'm the exception. Competition for men's attention gets a lot of ink, but we ignore that men have the home court advantage. Kissing their collective ass gets us access to the status that they hoard. Taking on masculine social signals is the tip of the hat that says, no challenge here. Everyone behaves as if it's assumed that woman bad. This constant drip, drip, drip demonization of the feminine plants a feeling of alienation in us. When we engage in anything inherently female-oriented, sending us crawling out of our skins to avoid guilt by association. We feel relief when our femaleness is less highlighted and powerful in men's clothes. But we can't be men, and their methods don't always work for us. And just as we began to ask, what were our methods again? It became transphobic to talk about. The stress seems to be getting to us. Every forum I frequent is rife with paranoia. Rigidity is setting in, infections are forming, which is a damn shame, because I know I'm still working on my own self-loathing and internalized misogyny. Dealing with this shit alone is getting really old. Occasionally someone, usually someone on her way out, will proclaim exasperation with the whole situation. She will marvel at how other women turn on each other. It's almost like they don't want to be liberated. But not me. I'm not like the other feminists. Oops. Internalized misogyny strikes again. It's really a pity no one is keeping score because we're gunning for the all-time record. The ultimate divide and conquer strategy is implanted in our own worldview. Woman bad keeps us in line from within by keeping us insecure in ourselves and isolated from one another. There is still some life left in us. Our survival instinct has drawn us to gather, chipping at the edges with things like believe women, but it's going to take time to undo centuries of self-loathing. Small, stable communities are forming here and there, but we need a rallying point. To achieve the liberation of women, we have to know who we're talking about. Some women excel in the kind of achievements men are so fond of, but many of our talents lie elsewhere. Progress for feminism will begin with an honest reassessment of who and what we are. We are different from men. Denial of this simple fact has cost us dearly, so much that the male-oriented organizations of the world have finally deemed us irrelevant, outdated. Woman Classic is out of production, and Woman 2.0 is rolling off the assembly line. We have enabled all of this by refusing to take ownership of our own definition. If none of us is like the other girls, then who are girls anyway? Patriarchy has lots of ideas. Only we can speak up for us. If we're not sure what to say, approaching each other with forgiveness would be a good place to start. Mwah. Thanks so much for listening. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel for more stuff like this and more response videos and all kinds of stuff. I got plans. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. There will be a link to this blog post down below if you would like to go and read it for yourself and go and read some more. And like I say, thanks for sticking with me. I'll see you next time.